We're now listening to Wealthy Sistas Radio Show. We're now listening to Wealthy Sistas with Deborah.
Well, hello, great morning, and welcome to Wealthy Sistas Radio with a View. I'm super excited to welcome you here today. I'm Deborah Hartnett, and I tell you what, we want to let you know that our purpose is twofold. First, we want to make sure that the information that we provide on this platform is going to inspire you. It's going to encourage you and also provide practical knowledge for you that you can, apply to your business, apply to your life, and have a positive impact, not just down the road, but oftentimes immediately. Because sometimes all we need to do is just make one little shift. And that starts with making a decision, right? The second part of our purpose is we want to make sure that we always provide a platform for the sisters that are doing big things. And we have to take the time to edify, showcase, and promote them, because I'm telling you guys, today it is truly needed. You know, we are multifaceted. There's so many super talented women and our brothers as well that are doing some incredible things in the business world. And if we don't shout them out, who else is going to do it? So once again, welcome to Wealthy Sistas Radio with a View. I'm excited about our show today, but before we get into that, I just want to kind of say thank you again for making sure that we started back with Wealthy Sistas. You know, we had a long history, 7 years straight. Every week, there's a lot of content available for you at wealthysistasradio.com, or you can just simply go to wealthysistas.com. That's SISTAS, and you'll find the information there as well. But also, in addition to that, we want to make sure that you know that we are on a mission to share what we're sharing today. So I encourage you to take the time right now. You're on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, go ahead and subscribe, especially to that YouTube channel. Subscribe, share, and share with others as well. So with all that said, I am again, as you know, always super excited about the show, because we do our best to bring you the best of the best, and today is no different. This is a welcome back. Third time, I believe, we've had this super powerful woman on the show who's doing some incredible things for us in our community. She is none other than Dr. Gina Paige. She is the co-founder and president of African Ancestry Com. They are industry leaders in the DNA research. When I tell you they have over, I believe, 30,000 DNA in their database, where if you are wanting to trace your African roots, you can do this. This is the best place to do it. She and her partner have been able to get their hands on and invented this incredible technology. So without further delay, that's right. We are welcoming to the show none other than Dr. Gina Paige. Welcome again to Wealthy Sistas Radio. It looks like she's having some technical difficulties. There she is. Oh, she's driving. Hello, gorgeous. You're not driving? You're parked. Okay, let's make that clear. Dr. Gina does not drive and do interviews.
No.
She's parked in her car. Looks like a beautiful day where you are.
It is. Good morning. And how are you doing today?
Wonderful, sister. Great morning to you. Welcome back to Wealthy Sistas.
Thank you for having me again. It's nice to be here.
Yes, indeed. I am so excited to have you on. Of course, we always talk about you anytime anyone is talking about DNA research and African ancestry. I'm always like, you have got to go to ancestry.com. So my mother-in-law, because we don't use law, We don't use stepchildren. They're my bonus babies and my mother-in-law. She was here talking about it, and she's about to click on another website in my house. I had to say, no way, no way. You must go to AfricanAncestry.com. So we are waiting on her results from her test. So super excited to have you on to talk about AfricanAncestry.com. So how is everything going?
Everything is going very well. Like you said, it's a beautiful day, and everyone on our team is healthy.
Oh, it looks like we got a little signal delay there. Let's see, we can't hear you.
And who they are.
Okay,
So,
we lost
can you hear me?
what you just said. It's kind of, and I don't know if it's some wind blowing or something. That might be it, but you went out. It's kind of like a little
Okay.
scratchy noise.
Let me
You
come
feel
back.
free to log out and come back in. Right, right. Okay. All right. You know what? Every time that happens, I promise you, you want to go and call and tell everybody, because that means this is going to be an extraordinary show, a super powerful show. You're going to get information that you can write down, apply to your life. What better time now than ever, more than ever, when we've already talked about it, 2 shows ago, where people are here, African Americans in the U.S. are making the great migration or remigration back to Africa. And what better time for you to trace your roots? I mean, for so many years, I remember in school as a child, always hearing, because I was fortunate to, be able to have a diverse background growing up, and I will always hear, the kids talking about their parents or their grandparents or their great grandparents were from Ireland. They knew they were from England or Wales, or they, Scotland, or they knew this, or they knew where they were from. And I always wondered, like, where exactly are we from? And here is an opportunity for us today. Since 2003, I believe that African Ancestry, Dr. Gina Paige and her co-founder, were able to create this opportunity for us to be able to hone in on, with accuracy and confidence, on I believe what they say, the exact tribe of where your ancestry lies. So we're here live waiting on her to be able to come back on the show. In the meantime, I do want to just take this opportunity while she's coming back, just to remind you about this book right here, Wealthy Sisters, Powerful Personal Stories Proving You Can Do It Too. So many beautiful stories and testimonies. Again, if you remember what our purpose is to provide inspiration and encouragement. Again, I cannot stress it enough. What we see is so important. What we hear is so important. And let's see, I believe we got her back in here. What we see and hear is incredibly important. And if we are constantly seeing images that are only representing one avenue of opportunities, be it the entertainment industry, which is all we really see, that is not the only way, which entertainment is great. I love it. But there are so many other opportunities. And in this book, there's stories like Dr. Tracy Lynn, who started her own jewelry company, right? I love Dr. Tracy Lynn. Oh, Catherine Freeman, a great friend of mine, who sold her business after 11 years, built it and sold it for like 30-something million dollars. Yes. And then we also have great granddaughter of Madam C.J. Walker in this book. So I encourage you to go to Amazon.com. You could get this book, WealthySisters.com. If you go to Amazon, you'll definitely get it a little bit quicker. We'll definitely tell you that, because we don't like waiting today, right? But you want to get this book, share it. You have young ladies, teenagers, give them opportunities to expand their mind, to not just think in one-dimensional, that there are, just a plethora of opportunities out here today. So we want to encourage you to get this book. Again, If you are just joining us here, we are live on Wealthy Sisters Radio with a View. And we were just talking a little earlier about having been on air for 7 years straight, taking a hiatus, and excited to be back. So if you are feeling and understanding where we are and you value this content, we want to encourage you to go ahead and go ahead and subscribe and share with others about Wealthy Sisters. Now, also, we could take the opportunity and just kind of share some of the things that you see about them on the screen there, where you can actually find us. Wealthy Sisters TV, that'll bring you to all of the shows here. Wealthy Sisters Radio, our older shows, which we will be merging them here on Wealthy Sisters TV as well. And also, you can go to wealthysisters.com and be able to get our information as well. So definitely, we encourage you to do that. We are excited about our guest today. We know that it's going to be a powerful show. Technical difficulties are all about, I'm saying really today, I believe that all of the technology that we're so used to is kind of revolting against us. Because we wake up every day I say wake up every day using the technology right away. So let's think about some other things we could talk about while we're waiting on Dr. Gina Paige to be able to come back on the show. Definitely want to remind you that we are on blackusa.news. Blackusa.news, you'll be able to find us there. We air live at 1 p.m. The same show that you see is a replay. And what is on that website? Blackusa.news is by my brother out of Donnie Glover, out of Baltimore. Incredible platform that he has created. And when I tell you he's been in the news industry, I know more than 20-something years, close to 30-something years. And you can find all types of information there, from politics to business to education, a lot of things that are of interest in our community. So I definitely encourage you to go to Black USA. As a matter of fact, let's make sure you get the visual. All right, that's it. blackusa.news. And we are waiting on our guest to be able to come back on. I know that she was in her car, parked. Not saying that she was driving, she was parked and just having a little technical. Let's see what we've got here. I believe, she keeps popping back in 4. So let's talk about a couple of other things. Why, again, it's important to have these type of platforms for you if you are in business for yourself. And one of the main things I like to talk about, which my favorite subject, is mindset. Mindset, God has given us this incredible mind to use it. And what we think about, what we project, our attitude, all of that determines, like that, what's that saying, that your attitude determines your approach, and your approach determines your arrival to your destination, right? And so with having the mindset, there is the importance of having platforms like this and being able to take the time out to, I say, take a fast from the television. Take a fast from things that distract you from reading and learning about what it is your business is. Like, you might have great skills in your business. You could be the best hairdresser, or you can be an accountant. But why not be able to expand your horizons in that field? Be able to determine your particular niche in that field. And in order to do that, a lot of times, well, all the time, we have to have that shift in our mindset. So that's why we take the time to make sure when we bring guests on the show, these are my little reminders. If you've been hearing this, little reminders. I like the sound of that, don't you? well, reminders to share great information with you, like I just shared with you about the blackusa.news. But if you think about having your mindset in the importance of what that determines for your outcome, you got to be able to see other people and what they're doing. So, like, that goes back to our circles, right? Our circles of influence, people who we're around. Like, you hear great speakers talk about this in personal and professional development, that if you are the smartest one in your group, if you are the sharpest one in your group, how are you ever going to grow, right? So you have to be able to surround yourself around people that are going to be able to stretch you, that are going to encourage you to go faster, to keep going, to expand your horizon, to not think small. Or they say, don't let your good be great. When you can actually expand further than where you are. And that again comes from seeing, what is out there. If you're just think about it. Maybe some people traveled when they were growing up, but let's say a lot of people may not, or those who did not travel growing up. I remember that parade, I'm dating myself, that parade magazine that was in the Sunday paper, right? And I remember going to the Maryland area as a young adult. And one of my friends, we were great friends, Gretchen, shout out to my friend Gretchen. We've been friends since fourth grade. She left me, she and Pam Archer. Pam left me in third grade. They moved up to the DC area, and Gretchen moved in fourth grade. Anyway, had a chance to reconnect with her one time, and I was over her parents' house, and I saw the Parade magazine, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was so shocked. I was like, oh, we have that same magazine in our newspaper. See, I didn't know, that's what I'm saying, about travel and exposure, that was just a syndicated magazine that is in everybody's major Sunday newspaper. And I use that example because there are so many things in our life that we think is only one way because we're basing it on our experiences. We're basing it on what our parents taught us, so what we're exposed to. But when you begin to step outside of those boundaries of where you grew up, or where you went to school, or how you've always been doing things, because that's what you hear a lot of times from entrepreneurs when you get the pushback. Not the ones that are on here that are hungry, that are on these channels like YouTube, that are looking for information to help make them better and carve and craft their skill set. But you hear that pushback that I've been doing it this way. I know I've been 30 something, 20 something, 15, 10 years. I've been doing it this way. But what if you just step out a little bit and recognize that there is another way to do things? There is a better way, right? As they say, the older we get, we should learn how to work smarter and not harder. So I'm saying, my point is to be able to have these platforms, to be able to use content to stretch you, so that's a challenge that I put out with you today. One of the things I say is look at the closest 5 friends in your circle. I think it was Jim Rohn that used to say that. May God rest his soul. Look at your closest friends in your 5 circle. They say if you take the sum total of your closest 5 people in your circle, that's where you're going to be. Financially, spiritually, socially, economically, that's it. And again, that's very, very important. And I'm not saying to, just disregard people in your life who've always been there, who have been a part of your circle. But what I am encouraging you to do is to be able to stretch yourself. Just checking to make sure that she hadn't tried to call. Our guest was having technical difficulties. Just making sure you stretch yourself to be able to see what else is out there for yourself. So challenge you to check your circles, right? And if this is having some type of impact, what I'm talking to you, drop in the chat. Let us know. If this is making sense to you. Let's have some dialogue. We never know how things happen. I'm a person that I understand God is in control. Everything is in divine order. So maybe this is what we're supposed to be talking about today. Instead of the African ancestry, maybe we are supposed to be talking about what are those steps that you can actually take right now in your life. And I say you, I should say we, because it's a constant evolving. Here she is, constant growth and commitment. Hello, speaking of growth, all is well. Everything's in divine order.
Thank you for your patience.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We are excited, and like I was sharing with the audience, I know anytime there's a challenge like this, it's going to be something powerfully or powerful shared that's going to really help somebody today.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So we were talking about African ancestry, and I was sharing with you anytime I have an opportunity to share about DNA, I always talk about your company. And why, let's just get into it. Why AfricanAncestry.com versus all of these other companies that you might see out there. And by the way, I've been seeing your commercials on social media and all of that. So I'm loving that,
Thank
your
you.
campaign there. Yeah.
Well, when you ask the answer to the question why African ancestry really hinges on what it is you want to know.
Mm-hmm.
So there are lots of different genetic ancestry tests. Uh, if you want to know health traits, then there's based on your ancestry, there's a test for that. If you
Mm-hmm.
want to try and find your fifth and sixth cousins, there's a genetic ancestry test for that. If you want to know how much of different ancestries you have, there's a test for that. If you want to know the present day African country that you share ancestry with and the people within that group, within that country, then African Ancestry is the only company that can give you that answer. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why African Ancestry, because it is for people who are interested in knowing what specific present day African country and ethnic group they share ancestry with. Now, you don't have any other choice. But once you make that choice to choose AfricanAncestry.com, you can do it knowing that we are the pioneers of genetic ancestry tracing for Black people. We are able to give you that unparalleled level of specificity of your ancestry because we have the largest database of African DNA in the world, in the industry. You can do it knowing that we won't sell or share your personal or genetic information. Our lab destroys all of the DNA once a result is determined. And the people who um, collect your DNA, who analyze your DNA, who provide your results look like you.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, those are all benefits to choosing AfricanAncestry.com, but the real reason to choose AfricanAncestry.com is because you want to know the present day African country and ethnic group that you share ancestry with.
That's powerful. In 2003, you're celebrating 19 years now. Does it seem like it's just gone by like a whirlwind?
No, no, it does not. But it is hard to believe. How many people in 2022? I wonder how many people have been doing the same thing for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
19 years, 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
that part of it gives me pause. But no, I feel every single every single test kit that we ship out, and every person whose results we deliver. I feel it.
You feel it. And with a million plus now, right?
We've impacted over 1 million Black people. So over 1 million Black people now know their specific connection to Africa. And that's really where the power is. Getting that level of reconnection, is choosing to reconnect in that way is an act of resistance, because we weren't supposed to have this information. We were supposed to stay disconnected. That's how the system works. The system works when you don't know who you are, when you're not connected to your people, when when you don't have any roots. That's when the system functions at its best. Doing this work, reconnecting to Africa, is an act of self-love, because we now are honoring all of those ancestors who came before us, whose resilience is why we're here. And we're saying we deserve to have a connection to them, and we deserve to honor them. And in honoring them and strengthening these roots, we are honoring ourselves. And so yeah, this is transformational work for over 1 million people, because when one person takes the test, your whole family on that
It's
branch of the
impacted.
tree
Uh huh.
benefits. It's not just a
Yes.
test for you.
Yes. Yes. So just a couple of weeks ago, we hosted this powerful sister. I mean, her story is so incredible. Her father actually left the States in the 70s. It was like, I'm out
Mm.
of here. Took his family, wife, and she shared her experience of driving from the West Coast. This is in the 70s now, of Africa to the East Coast. So before all of the roads,
Yeah, I was gonna
it,
say, how long did
yeah,
that take? How many
a
took
month. She
months?
said it took a month. Yes,
Yeah.
Sister Ayana, and she has this movement that she had. Her father, anyway, never came back, but he passed away and left a farm, and she's taken it to a whole nother level there in Zimbabwe. And we've had her, we had a sister with the African Textile Museum that's in Atlanta at the new Black Wall Street, which she's has all types of textiles and it's created design from all types of things. And so I shared with both of them that this is like there should be some type of partnership, because it looks like now a lot of African Americans are focusing on going to Africa, not just to take a trip, but to move.
Mm.
So I'm wondering with this, I guess, was it in 2019? They call it the Great I forgot
The
the
year of
name.
return,
Year of
family's year of
return.
return.
Right. Have you seen a lot of impact in your business? Have you seen more interest, with people wanting to learn more about their history?
Sure. I mean, we started seeing an increase in interest once Black Panther was released.
Ah,
And so since 2018, the interest in knowing where you're from as a Black person has increased significantly. Yeah, it has. I mean, I think it's increased for all Americans, but for us as members of the diaspora, it's different. Like for other groups, it's a novelty. You take a test, you find out what percentage of different places you come from, and you can tell some story about going back to Ireland or whatever. I don't feel like it's the same type of identity exploration. I think because if you have a last name, you know where that last name comes from. You
exactly.
you have records that can tell you who lived where, when, what they did, how they contributed to society, and we don't have that. Not in large part. We do not have that. And so for us, this is a very, very different type of journey. This is necessary information. It's not cute, it's not a novelty, it's necessary.
It's
So
necessary. Yeah.
yeah, so I have seen an increase. I also But in terms of people moving to the continent, I think that's still anecdotal. You see people here and there who are doing it as you travel. You see people who are doing it. We are taking people home to their country of ancestry once they find out where they're from, and there's a lot of interest in moving home or having a second home on the continent. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out.
So let's go through the process, if you will, of someone, they want to know, what do they have to do? How does the whole process work?
So I'm gonna see if I can grab an example. Yeah, here's an example. Okay, so um, we have, so first you go to AfricanAncestry.com, and we have two tests there. One test traces a maternal lineage, which is mother to mother to mother to mother on back, 500 to 2,000 years. The other traces a paternal lineage, father to father to father on back. So you first have to decide which lineage you're interested in tracing. Most
Okay.
people start with a maternal lineage,
Okay.
our mother's line. And that's for two reasons. One, both men and women can trace that lineage, so anybody can do it. And two, we find that those results come back African more often than the paternal line does.
And we know why.
Right. So you would go, you decide which test you want to take, you'd order the kit, and then the kit comes to you in the mail. This is the kit. This is what the kit looks like. And inside the kit are swabs that are just like Q-tips, long, long swabs that you use to collect cheek cells from the inside of your mouth. And then you return those swabs to us in packaging that we provide. It goes straight to our lab with no personally identifying information. So the lab, the people who handle your genetic information have no idea who you are. So
Wonderful.
that's the first way to maintain your confidentiality.
So let me let for the people that's like, I don't know about all that. I don't know, they ain't getting my know who I am. I remember all the wise sayings. Don't let your hair couldn't let your hair blow out in the wind, or you got to wrap it up because a bird is going to make a nest. I grew up in the South, so you probably never heard that before. But
I mean, yeah, we all have our reasons for not wanting to, for wanting to make sure that our genetic information is safe. And because we're a Black owned company, because we were founded by Black scientists and myself, we are sensitive to those concerns. And so then you go online, you register your test kit, or activate it is what we call. And if you're still feeling, skittish, you don't have to put your name. Like, we don't care what your name is. There are all these, things you can do, hacks you can do to still get the information. And then the process takes about 8 to 10 weeks, I think, is where we're trending right now. Our lab unlocks the code of the DNA. Our science team analyzes your sequence and looks for other people in the world who share your same DNA, and then they determine the result. And then you go online, you're kept abreast online of the status of your results. You have an account you can go up to anytime, and then when your results are ready, you can go online and get the answer, look at your letter, look at your certificate, and then you share those results with everybody in the family who's on that branch of the tree.
where have been some of the most, or can you say the most popular region that you have found? Is there where the results are coming
Mhm.
from?
So the countries we find the most often are Nigeria, Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone, Cameroon. Those would be the top four. And then within those countries, the groups would be the Hausa and Fulani, the Balanta people of Guinea-Bissau, the Mende and the Temini people of Sierra Leone, and the Tikar or the Bamileke people in Cameroon.
In Cameroon. So the process that you did just describe, I also heard you say that you take people back home once they get the results. So is this something else they can pay for, or do you all just have a trip every year to certain regions? What does that
So
look like?
we have African, thank you for that question, because there is something you could do after you get your results. So
Uh
after you
huh.
get your results, you can join the African Ancestry online community. And that's a community of about 8,000 people now who have
Wow.
traced their ancestries through our company. So they're all your family members, and they're sharing resources and information about the countries and the people. And then we have African Ancestry family reunions, and those are specially curated birthright journeys. So they are trips where we take people home to their country of ancestry. The first country that we've done as part of the AAFRs, that's what we call them, the family reunions, is Sierra Leone. And you have to remember, we're still in a pandemic. So we
Yes.
launched these trips at the end of 2019 and then couldn't travel in 2020 at all. In
Wow.
April of 2021, we did the first one to Sierra Leone. And that was really driven by the fact that the country of Sierra Leone now offers citizenship to people who have used DNA to confirm their ancestry in that
Wow.
country.
Wow, so that's like a dual citizenship for them. And is there a certain percentage that they have to have, or is it any that do you
So we
know?
don't operate in percentages. Our
Uh-huh.
test is not like the other companies that say you're some
Okay.
percentage from here, some percentage
Okay.
from there. We don't do that. We're
Mm-hmm.
looking at single branches of the family tree. And so when African ancestry says you share maternal genetic ancestry with the Mende people living in Sierra Leone today, that means that your mother's mother at some point in the past 500 years was in present day Sierra Leone.
Wow.
So it's not,
Um,
are you some or, some percentage. Your maternal ancestry is definitively from that part of Africa.
wow. I'm definitely excited about this is the year that I'm going to take the test. I had promised my daughter she wanted it for a present one year, and this is actually the year, that we're going to do it towards the end of the summer. I'm planning for that, and preferably, with all this pandemic and everything, perhaps we can join you on one of those journeys,
Yeah,
the family reunions, the homecoming
that would be great.
experience as well. And here at Wealthy Sisters, I know you have done so many interviews, and you might not remember, but we always like to get information like what your upbringing was like, what led you to this path. And we do this, Dr. Gina, because this show is all about providing encouragement and inspiration to women and
Mhm.
everyone, as far as business is concerned, but particularly for us. And so it can help them see that, oh, she grew up here and she did this, and they can have something to relate to. So did you ever imagine that you would be right where you are today? Like, that's usually how it happens. Like, you had no idea.
Absolutely not. Zero. I had zero idea. I mean, so listen, this wasn't even possible
Yeah.
before 2003. So I
Yeah.
could not have that would have been a hell of an imagination. That would have been like some Octavia Butler, uh,
Yeah.
Afrofuturism. I did not.
Yeah, had no idea. You know, so as far as your background is concerned, were you involved in, something in management? What was your journey like to today?
Yeah. Well, I come from a family of entrepreneurs. Although I did not always realize how many people in my family were entrepreneurs.
Why was
And
that? Why would you say you didn't realize it?
I didn't know. I
You
mean,
just
when
didn't
when
know.
I just didn't know. I
Uh huh.
remember probably, gosh, maybe 17 or 18 years ago now. My
Uh-huh.
father has 6 siblings. So he
Wow.
comes from a family of 7 kids.
Uh-huh.
And they were all there at my grandparents' house one year for, I think it was Thanksgiving. And they were talking about purchasing the house that's next door to my grandparents' house. And they were going around the table and nobody had a job. Everybody was self-employed except for an uncle by marriage. And so we were like, okay, well, you're the one who can, you know,
Do
get
all the
the,
paperwork.
right, you can do the paperwork. But it just kind of hit me then like, oh, wow, yeah. So I
Yeah.
think part of this, the fact that I started a business and run the business is in my DNA.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I never really knew what I wanted to do other than I didn't want to work for anybody. That was the extent of
Okay.
my vision, that I didn't want to work for anybody. And so I just
Mm-hmm.
did kind of what you're supposed to do. Went to college,
Mm-hmm.
fell into the major. I got a degree in economics.
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't have a job after college. I just, did sales, which actually
Uh-huh.
turned or retail sales, which actually every job I've ever had, I've used in my African ancestry experience. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And then when I saw people who were doing things I thought were interesting, they all had MBAs. So I went and
Yeah.
got an MBA.
Okay.
And then I went to the University of Michigan School of Business, where if you're interested in marketing, you kind of get pigeonholed in a sense to do
Mm-hmm.
product management. So
Mm-hmm.
after business school, I went to Colgate Palmolive Company and did product management. And so I learned how to manage a product line, launch new products, manage a P&L, work with
Mm-hmm.
all elements of the marketing mix, even working with R&D and
Mm-hmm.
operations. And then went to Sara Lee Bakery, where I was the pie queen and managed the frozen pie category. And then finally had enough and just was like, I gotta, I've learned some things. I can't do it. I cannot be part of the corporate system anymore. And that's when I went off on my own and did some consulting, started a
Uh-huh.
few businesses. And I met Dr. Kittles, who is my business partner. And this was his dream. He really wanted to know where he was from. And when
Mm-hmm.
realized he was able to do that, that was the genesis of African ancestry. And so he had already proven that people want to know where they're from. And in Africa, Black people want to know specifically where we're from. And he
Mm-hmm.
had compiled the database that allows us to do what we do today. So he and I partnered, and it was the perfect opportunity for me to use the skill set that I had invested in, right?
Mm-hmm.
My parents and
Mm-hmm.
I invested in,
Mm-hmm.
to start my own business, launching a new product, which is something I had learned to do on a corporate dime.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, to do something that has never been done before. So when we don't use the term pioneer loosely,
Mm-hmm.
before we did this, no one else could do it. And still today, no one else does it,
Mm.
quite honestly. And then I'm able to do all of that on my own for a group of people that I'm passionate about because I love Black people. And so that's how I got here.
That's a beautiful story. I mean, there's so much inside of that if you're listening to what she said, I want to encourage you, if you're in the workforce still, don't discount it, right? Because a lot of times we were talking about when you were having the technical difficulties about the mindset and how important it is to have your mindset focused and the attitude, just the attitude, right? So many people complain about the smallest things today. And just, having that shift in that attitude makes a difference. But to recognize that if you're in a place that you don't want to be, there's a reason that you're there. And to collect that data, right? Collect that knowledge that you're going to use that down the road, just like you're using that today. I mean, how else would you have known how to be successful and how to roll out a whole new product in a whole new industry if you hadn't had that experience?
Yeah, and I left this part out. all of the network that I built
Yes.
over that time. So when we started African Ancestry, I had access to someone who could make our logo. I
Okay.
had access to someone who could do our website. I
Yes.
had access to someone who had done package design before. And so she helped me with that. Like, you know what I mean? There's somebody one day, but this is, I forgot about this story. I just remember one day. So when we founded the company, I lived in New York
Okay.
and Dr. Kittles was in DC. And I was on the train and I was like, we need PR. So we can't afford advertising, but we can afford some PR. PR is much less expensive. I was like, we need somebody who's black, who's done science PR before to help us. And I kid you not, I was on the train and I ran into a guy that I knew from the 8th grade, Michael Darden. And I was like, "Oh, what are you doing now?" He said, "I do PR for a company that publishes science textbooks."
Look at that. Where
But,
there is vision, there is provision.
and then but he's from the 8th grade.
Yeah.
I had people from middle school all the way through my entrepreneurial experience who I was able to tap into to help me get African ancestry off the ground. So that's
And
another
that,
important part.
yeah, that's very important. And it goes back again to the attitude. You obviously knew the importance of building relationships, right? And again, I say, there are I don't know why I'm on this attitude so much, but it just seems to when you go into places like retail and I get adults, or I'm calling and I get customer service and I get adults on the phone that make me feel like I'm a burden to them, you know. Um, it's so important to have you to make yourself friendly, to be a friend, to remember. Like if you were that type of person that nobody really wanted to be around, he might have seen you and just remembered that and tried to ignore you, right? Get away from you. And it's so important for people to recognize that how you treat people, you never know who they will be and how they can help you and how they, whatever mission that you're supposed to be a part of. So those relationships, the network is your net worth. That's a beautiful story. Yeah, proof.
Yeah. Yeah. I gotta look him up, see what he's doing. I haven't talked to him or thought about him in a little while. And now we have a great PR person. She took the mantle from him because then
Uh
we
huh.
after a while we needed a different kind of PR. We needed
Right.
to get into different spaces. And so shout out to Nicole Taylor, Taylor
Yes,
Communications.
Miss Nicole, I'm telling you, Nicole is on it because she reached out to us, and I think it was 2014, what have you, first time you came on the show,
Has
and
it
we
been
took
that
a
long?
yes, we took a hiatus, and
Yeah.
so I mean, as we say, everything is in divine order. You probably like I recognize her, but maybe you don't because I since converted to Islam, and so many different avenues there, in our life. But we're excited to be back. I always had people saying, "When you going to start the show?" And we relaunched in March of this year. And
Congratulations.
thank you. And for so many reasons, every week we see the purpose. Hearing your story, having like, what can we do? What else can we do on our scale as we continue to grow, and expand to share about African ancestry? This is, like you said, this is essential. This is, what's the word? Necessary. You said this is necessary information. I mean, this is about our children, right? How they see themselves. If you know that you come from kings and queens and great things and inventors and
Yeah,
yeah,
scholars and
scholars,
agriculturalists and
yes,
healers and
yes,
all sorts of
yes,
people.
yes, that's powerful. That's powerful. So we've talked about ancestry.com, how you got started.
African ancestry.
I'm sorry. Oh, African ancestry, that deserves a piece. Thank you, sis. AfricanAncestry.com, how you got started, your background, your journey, what the process is like. They need to go to AfricanAncestry.com. You have these trips. Prayerfully, everything opens up. We can really expand more, that people can do their family reunions back to the area. As the time is, ticking down here on the show, what would you share with people, as who are maybe thinking, well, I know they say we're from Africa, but I'm from here. Like, I'm from here. My mom and daddy from Michigan. you know, why would you say they might want to shift their mindset and invest in learning that really they are not from here, and embracing that fact?
Yeah, I appreciate that you asked me that question. I actually don't try and shift people's mindsets.
Mm-hmm.
People who say I'm from here and that's what's important, I kind of let them have that because
Yes.
everybody, I'm not here to say what you should think is important.
Right.
But what I can say is, um, for people who say, so what?
Okay.
What difference does it make?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would say there are a few reasons why. The first is legacy is important. And just like most of us want to leave a legacy, we are part of someone else's legacy. And when you endeavor to leave a legacy, it's because you want the people who come after you on your family line to have a better experience because of what you've contributed to the family, because of what you've contributed to society. Well, we are here today as someone else's legacy. And the people for whom we are part of their legacy, they endured far more than we'll ever have to endure for us to be able to sit here and, take a Zoom call from our car. I mean,
Right.
you know what I mean? And then when that
Right.
doesn't work, have the have the patience to have an office to go to
Right.
where
Right.
we can communicate virtually. They made it through horrific circumstances during the Passage. They made it through generations of dehumanization, of uh, trauma, emotional, psychological, physical trauma. They endured all plantation life, auction blocks, Jim Crow, segregation, all of this so that we could be here today. And just like you will want to be honored for your legacy, you should honor them for their legacy and finding out what cultures, traditions, beliefs, practices that they embraced, as the Mandinka people living in Senegal, or the Mbundu people living in Angola, or the Ateke people living in Gabon, or the Igbo people living in Nigeria, whoever they were. That's how you honor them. And then in honoring them, you're honoring yourself. So, like I said, this is an act of self-love. And that's why it's important. We walk around, our hair, our music, the way we move when we hear a drum,
Yes.
the way we call in response I was at an event last night at the Museum for African American History and Culture, and it was a mixed audience. It was a white interviewer interviewing Mahogany L. Brown, and she was just astonished at how much support we were giving Mahogany from the audience. That's just what we do. You don't have to ask us to do call and response. We know when she says something, we're
Say
like,
that. Say that.
right,
Yeah. Say
we got
that.
you.
right
Uh,
on.
we didn't make that up.
Right.
We didn't just decide to do that. That comes from our African roots. That comes from
That's it.
our Mende roots. That comes from our um, Tuareg roots. You know what I mean? And so that's why this is important, because we have this way of being and we don't know where it comes from.
Yes.
And so figuring out where those things come from, again, I'm just going to keep saying the same thing over and over a different way, but it's an honor, it's a
Mm-hmm.
privilege,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a must.
Mm-hmm.
We have
Mm-hmm.
to. We are
Mm-hmm.
not
Mm-hmm.
complete people. We do not know who we are until we
Mm-hmm.
know where we're from.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
And
then
I.
once you know, you get to be whoever you want to be, but you have some information, you have some roots, so
Mm-hmm.
that all of the things that happen around you, the
Mm-hmm.
technology doesn't work, someone tells
Mm-hmm.
you you're something that
Hello.
you don't think you are,
Right.
someone belittles your belief system, you
Right.
don't hear it because you
Right.
know who you are. That's why
Right.
you need to do it.
Right. That, I mean, that's profound. That's it. You said it. I mean, and you spoke it earlier. In the beginning of the show when you talked about the importance of knowing our history, but also I like the fact that you talked. And I had something that escaped me, but it'll come back. The fact that you talked about the importance of knowing about the Middle Passage, and you just said it about the things that we complain about, the small things, and what, as I always think about, what they might have gone through. I mean, like we are the direct result of those survivors,
And
because
we
many
still have
didn't
their
make.
DNA. We
We still have
still
their
have their
DNA.
DNA.
That's incredible.
It's in every cell of our body. The DNA from that woman who was taken from the continent, put on a slave ship, put on an auction block, working in plantation fields, working in factories, working whatever it is, leading law firms, whatever it is. We have her DNA still in our body 2000 years later. This isn't a concept. It's a reality. It's in
It's a
it's literally,
reality.
you have her DNA in you. So you can't escape it.
Right. Oh, wow. Beautiful. Well, Dr. Gina, we appreciate you as always. May God continue to bless you for all of the incredible things that you are doing for us. May He continue to open up doors for you of opportunity and to continue to expand African ancestry, so that it can be a household name for us, you know, in connecting with our roots. So we appreciate your time. And to thank Nicole, I see she popped in. Thank you, Nicole, sister. Really appreciate you as well. And with all that said, we want to ask you to come back. We definitely want, like we talked about, or doing, have some ideas of some things we like to really do to, really help promote this whole, like you said, importance, the necessary part of us, going back to our roots. So
Oh,
thank you so much again,
thank you for
for
having
joining
us.
us.
I really appreciate it. I appreciate your time, and congratulations on starting back up, because that's not easy. It's not
Yeah,
easy to start and restart. So
yeah.
I honor the fact that you are like, no, we're going to do this, and you're doing it. And so it's definitely a pleasure to be able to be a part of it. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much. Thank you so much. Well, and thank you to everyone that joined us today. As promised, we always want to make sure that we provide the best in information for you with the best guests. And next week is going to be another incredible show. As a matter of fact, I want you to be able to check out our special guest for next week. That's right. That is none other than Tanya Saunders. She is one of the original black lobbyists in DC. when I say, well, I guess they use, they call a policy advocate now. I don't know if they use that term as much anymore. But what an incredible background that she has and story that she has to share. So I want to encourage everybody to join us here next week. We are going to be talking about some policies. And this is something that you might have run into. There is these companies out here now that are targeting people who borrow images. I'll say it like that. They Google and they find an image from the Broadcasting Association, AP, Associated Press, and they are trying to get money from people for using these images, like an image of the Capitol or image of the flag, And so we're going to be talking about our rights around policy, and as well as the importance of business owners not being a partisan but nonpartisan platform. So we encourage you to join us next week. And as always, you know that we wish you and yours the best of everything great. Thanks again for joining us. And remember to share, like, and subscribe. Bye now.
This has been another episode of Wealthy Sistas Radio. Thank you for joining us. Catch the full hour encore Thursdays 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern and 24/7 at wealthysistasradio.com. The opinions of our guests do not necessarily reflect the opinions of our hosts, staff, or partners of Wealthy Sistas Radio.